I'm Heather Little, and this is the first episode of the channel, The Lipstick Libertarian. Thank you for joining me. So, I think libertarianism is awesome, and I'd like to share some of my thoughts and ideals with the people of America out there, and see if we can take some of these concepts so prevalent in libertarianism and apply them to our two-party world. So let's get started. Think about this. What do the Democrats want us to do? What do the Republicans want us to do? And when I say that, I mean the extreme liberals, the extreme conservatives, the ones on TV, the politicians. What do they want us to do? Because our country, our registered voters are 50%, or somewhere close to that.
Music
split right down the middle.
Reimagined.
But each half is not full of those types of extremists that the media, that the politicians want us to see in each other. They want us to be at war with each other. They want us to fight. They want us to hate each other. Because that's what they do. They're warmongers. They encourage people to fight, and they celebrate extremism. And that's not good for America. Because, shockingly, most Americans are actually pretty moderate. Most Americans are in that window of could go either way, just depending on the politician, just depending on the platform that they're running on.
Music licensing.
Whether you can trust them or not. Whether they seem like they have good ideas and good ideals for America. But have any of our recent candidates really met that? I mean, we haven't had a huge landslide since Obama. And plus, I think that
Artlist.io.
the last couple of presidents, current, Joe Biden, past, Donald Trump, are doing the best that they can do within their reach. I think that they have good intentions. I just think that they're letting their teams, letting their party push them into this gridlock of fear, gridlock of competition, this need to outdo each other, outdo the person before them. When really, it shouldn't be about them. It should be about what real Americans actually want, what will help our country first, and help unite us. And I believe that libertarianism could be the answer to that.
Artlist.io.
Now, libertarianism gets a bad rap. I will say that. You're not wrong. I mean, all the libertarian politicians who have made their little 1% voting dent in the two-party system so far have been kind of batshit crazy. I would love to see a competent, reasonable libertarian actually run for presidency and actually do something with it, and not just make waves. Actually, they're making ripples, like drops in a river. And they need to be making tsunamis to overhaul this crap.
Artlist.io.
Have you ever heard the song by Luke Bryan, I Believe Most People Are Good? It's a good one. It's maybe a little cheeseball, but I think it's pretty true. I think that most people are falling in the middle. Most people are good. Most people want the best for themselves, their family, and their country. And I think that's something that we can all get behind. Let's give you an example about extremists versus moderates. The Catholic Church. People have very strong opinions about the Catholic Church. I don't think there's anything really wrong with what they're doing. Do I agree completely with what they're doing? Not so much, but I think that their intentions are good. But let's think about a Catholic church. Picture in your mind a Catholic church. What do you see? What do you imagine? Do you imagine someone like the Pope? The cardinals? Do you imagine a local priest with a collar sitting in a confessional booth? Do you imagine the inside of the church, the ornateness of the artwork and the decorations? All of that is well and good and symbolized through the Catholic Church. But the Catholic Church itself is really made up of its members. When you go to a Catholic church and you sit in the pews, you're surrounded by those figureheads and those decorations, and those people are the most important part of it. The majority of the people in the room during Mass are your average people. They are your neighbors, they're your local postal workers, the cashiers at the store, sometimes your friends, maybe even your family. Those are the average people. They haven't dedicated their entire lives, entire existence to the Catholic Church like these priests and the Pope and such all have. Those people are the extremists. That's what we think of first when presented with this imaginary scenario. We think of the extremists, the representation, the representatives of the Catholic Church, the extreme. But the heart of it is in the moderates, the ones who try to live a good life within their moral guidelines that the Catholic Church provides. And that could be said for just about any church or organization, group, political party, country. You're going to think of the most extreme examples when you think of something that's a strong ideal. You think of Germany, do you think of sausage and beer? When you think of America, when Europe thinks of America, do they think cool American ranch Doritos and cowboys? But is that what America's made out of? Of course not. Is that what Germany's completely made out of? Of course not. Most of it is in the middle, the moderates, the average citizen that's just trying to get through their day, that's just trying to get through their week, that's just trying to get to the next paycheck. That's how I've always been, and that's how most of us are. Middle of the road. So what do we do about this? How do we regulate this two-party system that's driven us to imagine each other as the most extreme examples of the political party that they're part of? How do we defy the two political superpowers that want us to fight each other and meet in the middle and get along? That's where most of us already are anyways. I'm a registered libertarian myself. And while that word sounds scary, nutty, or weird to a lot of Americans, it's really not that bad. It's really the best of both worlds, if you think about it. At least that's how I do. I think about the social freedoms that the Liberal Party wants. They want people to be able to be who they are. I want freedom to be who I am, to dress how I want to dress, to date who I want to date. I don't want the government stepping in and telling me what I can and cannot do in my private home. Do you? But I also see the financial liberation that the Republicans want, and the governmental regulation that they want, or that they at least are supposed to want. Republicanism is supposed to be founded on a small government and lower taxation. So how can we do both? How can we provide social justice to America and Americans, but without taxing everybody out the ass? Libertarianism. We need a complete overhaul of so many broken systems in this country. So many broken systems. We'll go into more detail of that in just a second, but first I just wanted to talk about a couple of things that a libertarian is not. but libertarianism is
Music
not.
licensing
A
reimagined.
libertarian is not an anarchist who wants no government, just less government interference in our day-to-day lives. I want a medical professional to help guide me in my health journeys, not some politician in Washington in a suit telling me what I can and can't do with my body. And that's not just for women, that's for men too. That's any medical decisions.
Artlist.io.
There should be guidelines, but not interference. Libertarians are not just laissez-faire about laws. Law and order is very important. Organization is very important. Without it, it's just Lord of the Flies. If you haven't read that book, it's really good.
Music
Basically
licensing
describes
reimagined.
pandemonium when kids are put in charge with nobody to supervise. That's a little bit of what we have going on right now, to be honest. We have laws, but we're not enforcing those laws. We need to enforce the laws, stop the shoplifters from walking out, blatantly shoplifting in the stores. And we're not a radical group wanting to overthrow the current democracy.
Artlist.io.
At least I'm not. I'm just saying, shit's broke. Let's fix it. And the way to fix it is with an open mind and an open heart. Now, I definitely don't speak for all libertarians, but in my eyes, there are a few
Artlist.io.
very important systems that are completely broken down. Immigration and deportation. First of all, we're putting people in cages. We're locking them up for wanting to come to our country for a better life. I mean, honestly,
Music
I'd rather
licensing
just send someone back to their
reimagined.
country and put them on a waiting list than have them sit in basically a jail cell, especially if they're going to be separated from their children. Who does that? Who wants to separate parents from their children? Who wants to take care of children separately from the adults? The family unit is being destroyed here. You think that that's going to help our country by pulling their family units apart and then trying to put them back together one way or another months from now?
Artlist.io.
Absolutely not. Now, each one of these, I'm going to go into more detail in future videos because I have a lot to say about each of these topics. A lot of great ideas I'd love to share with the world, with you. See if we maybe agree. And if you don't agree, that's fine too. I'm open to interpretation.
Music
Send me your
licensing
ideas. reimagined. I'm very open-minded when it comes to things. My opinion can actually be changed by strong arguments. But back to the list here. Tax codes and unfair taxation. Taxation in this country is completely upside down. The big companies and the billionaires are avoiding taxes because they can. I mean, why not? Donald Trump did it. He straight up said, it's legal. Why should I pay taxes? And why should you pay taxes? Why should a portion of your income go to the greater good when the greater good isn't doing the good you want to see in the world?
Artlist.io.
We need to make taxes equal across the board for everyone so that everyone puts in their fair share. And then reform so that everyone feels like their fair share is going to something that's actually benefiting them and their neighbors, their families.
Music licensing reimagined.
Drug laws and the criminal justice system in general. We're putting users in jail who are victims of these dealers, these drug lords, these cartels that bring in illegal drugs across the border every single day, across the borders of every state in America every day. We need to crack down on the hard drugs and ease up on the medicinal drugs. Believe it or not,
Artlist.io.
cannabis, THC, aka marijuana, aka the big Zaza, so my tween son calls it, is very medicinal. It's very regulated in the states that have it available for medicinal usage by prescriptions. It's very regulated in states that have it for recreational use. I've been to a couple different states now that have legal usage, recreational and I have a medical card here in Ohio, and I've been very impressed with the organization that comes along with this. And taxation, you can tax the balls off marijuana. I mean, it's awesome.
Artlist.io.
Just saying. So we're putting people into jail for self-medicating, essentially, with marijuana, with other drugs, when we should be helping them get off of the bad drugs, the ones that you can't stop once you start, the ones that lead to overdosing, the ones that lead to irresponsibility with your children, with yourself, with your own life, and redirecting those people into making their own lives better.
Music licensing reimagined.
But my biggest concern, or at least one of them, is our governmental budget and the overspending on borrowed money that we keep having to raise the debt ceiling for, because we keep going further and further into debt every second of every day. Have you ever seen that debt calculator that just rolls and rolls and rolls? Look it up.
Artlist.io.
Watch your dollars, your hard-earned tax dollars, being wasted over and over and over again, just being fed into the money pit that America has dug itself into. We're overspending on all this crap that we don't need. We're overspending on other countries that don't really need us that bad, and overlooking our own problems, underfunding the programs that provide basic human rights and needs. Again, completely another upside down system. But what do we do about this? I'm going to quote a Dave Chappelle meme here and say that we need, or I'm going to paraphrase, we need modern solutions to our modern problems. And that solution is moderation. Haven't you ever heard that phrase? Everything in moderation, right? Sounds corny as hell. It really does. Pause. Sorry, where was I? Everything in moderation, right? You hear that about diets. Everything in moderation. Don't go on crazy fad diets. Don't cut carbs completely. Don't
Music licensing
buy into Atkins,
reimagined.
buy into the keto diets, all of that stuff. It's all extreme ways for weight loss, but they're not really sustainable. Yes, they work. That's why people do them. But it's a short-term gain. Even the medicines, Ozempic, Mounjaro, those types of things are quick fixes, which sound really great and work for some people. They really do. Just like the tax loopholes work for some billionaires. But at the end of the day, something needs to be not only a good solution for the short term, but a good solution for the long term. That's the only way we're going to get through this together.
Music licensing reimagined.
But I really believe that everything in moderation phrase, as dumb and cliche as it sounds, can be applied to almost anything in life. There's a range. There's a range of acceptableness, and then there's the extreme one way and the extreme other way. And I want to stay within that range, because almost anything can be turned into an extreme obsession when handled by the wrong people. And then those people get highlighted, glorified even, and become the literal poster child for their group. Think about the reality shows you've seen. Extreme couponing. My 600-pound life, full of people that binge eat. Think about gambling addictions. These are all normal activities pushed too far. It's okay to clip coupons and save a little money here and there. It's okay to eat food that you like within reason, within that range. It's okay to buy a scratch off, play the Powerball, go to the casino, have a little fun. I could go on, but these are all normal activities
Artlist.io.
pushed too far, and it gets into that extreme category again. And extremes are what we want to avoid. We want to stay in moderation. And Americans have been pushed too far, to be honest. That's where we stand. That's why we're where we are.
Music licensing
That's why we're
reimagined.
where we are at. These politicians pushing us to the brink, to the edge. We're ready to just take a leap of faith just to avoid the headache. That's what leads to Black Lives
Artlist.io.
Matter riots. When those extreme examples of police violence are put out there for everyone to see. It's an extreme, those are extreme examples, and they were wrong. People died. And that makes us angry. But we can't be angry at everyone for the actions of a few. It's just like I believe
Artlist.io.
most people are good. I believe most cops are good. I believe most are just average American citizens trying to do their job, trying to get through their day, trying to make the world a little better if they can. There's always going to be exceptions to that. There's
Music
always going to be bad
licensing
cops. There's always going
reimagined.
to be stellar cops. Most of them, like us, are somewhere in between, within the reasonable range. The other example of extremism on the other side are the January 6th protests. Again, extremists pushed to the brink of extremism by a government that does not hear their concerns, by a
Artlist.io.
government that does not care about its citizens, not in the way that it really matters. Of course we're fed up, of course we're frustrated, and they weren't the only ones. There were thousands and thousands of others that I'm sure at least considered wanting to march, but they had jobs to
Music
go to, they had kids to
licensing
take care of.
reimagined.
They don't want to be in the mix of all the craziness. So what do we need? We need that modern solution to our modern problems. And I really think that that solution boils down to
Artlist.io.
libertarianism, because that has at its core a simple principle: providing maximum freedom within reason. Let's say that again. Libertarianism provides maximum freedom.
Music licensing
Within reason.
reimagined.
America is the land of the free. That's why people want to come here, because of all of the freedoms that we are guaranteed under our constitutional rights, by the rights of our founding fathers. And we need to get back to that. I think they would be appalled at all of the laws that trip over each other and confuse. I think they
Artlist.io.
wanted a simple, straightforward government with a simple, straightforward solution. So,
Artlist.io.
in that maximum freedom, we need freedom from inflation. Inflation has skyrocketed over the last couple of years to the point where food and gas prices, insurance prices, they've all been rising and rising and rising, and yet we're still making the same amount of money. We can't afford this as average Americans. We have to do something to stop this inflation, to reverse it. And that doesn't include spending more government money. We need to fund the police, not defund them. We need to fund the police. They are the peacekeepers in America.
Artlist.io.
Watch the show Cops, the recent episodes, the old episodes. See the stuff that they have to deal with on a daily basis over and over and over again. And you'll see good cops and you'll see bad cops and you'll see okay cops. But you will see police doing their job. You will understand what they do, how they do it, why they do what they do, and how to act around them, how not to act around them. These are important things to teach yourself and to teach your children. Learn about the police. They are a safe place for law-abiding citizens. They are only supposed to go after criminals and take them away. Those extremists, those extreme criminals, they find them, they take them, and they put them in the place away from moderate society. We also need a strong military force. Not just to protect our borders, like every other country in the world does, but to protect our sovereignty as an independent nation. People all over the world are jealous of us. They're jealous of our size of our country. They're jealous of the size of our budget, of our dollars, of our freedoms, of our happiness. They are jealous and they want to come here and get a piece of that for themselves. And I don't blame them for that, because America really can be a great country to live in, within reason.
Artlist.io.
Has it been better than it is today? Hell yes. Shortly ago, a few years ago, yeah. A few decades ago, yeah. Has it been worse? Yeah. Or at least as bad as it is today. But we've recovered from that, and we can recover from this. I truly believe that.
Music licensing reimagined.
But other countries are coming from what we have, and we need to be prepared to defend ourselves when that day comes, because it could be any day. We need clear and easy to follow laws and regulation. Legislation should be easy to follow. Stop the 1,000-page bills. Stop it. If I can't read and understand what is on the docket within an hour or two, rewrite it. Get the fuck out of here. Pardon my language.
Music licensing.
But that is absolutely flagrantly ridiculous. Because you know what it was? It was a one-page bill that started out as something simple that people added and added and added and added and added and added and added to until it was so discombobulated, so misconstrued that nobody even remembers what the original bill was about anyways, because they built all of these little backdoor deals into this single bill, and they're passing things under our noses, and they know it because they know no one's going to read a 1,000-page bill. They're just going to tell you what it's about, not tell you the details. They're going to tell you the highlights, not the details. And then they're going to sell it to you. It's like a used car. It's had parts and parts replaced here and there, and it's a Frankenstein kind of a car. These Frankenstein types of bills cannot be passed in our legislation anymore. They are absolutely 100% disallowed. And that brings us to needing complete transparency in our government. If it's all by the book, why can't we know about it? Now, that doesn't include matters of national security. There are some things that are top secret and top secret for a reason that only certain people can be privy to. You don't have to know everything all the time. But unless it's top secret, why are you hiding it otherwise?
Music licensing reimagined.
And lastly, and most importantly, look at ourselves. We have so many problems in our own country. Let's start solving our own problems first. Solve your problems at home before you go around solving the problems of the world. I read something recently. I don't remember who the quote was from, but the quote went something like this. If you only have one smile to give it at home to your loved ones. Don't be surly, obnoxious,
Music licensing
and downright mean
reimagined.
at home to the ones that you love, and then walk out the door and start smiling and saying good morning to strangers. Think about that. The ones we love the most are sometimes the ones that we hurt the most. It's harder to work on your own problems. It's harder to be introspective and to look at yourself as the raw person, as a raw country, and look at our own flaws and fix those flaws. Take steps to start
Music
fixing those flaws.
licensing
If we can't
reimagined.
fix them overnight, take baby steps. Start taking steps towards better. We have overextended ourselves physically, financially, across the world at the expense of our own homeland American citizens and visitors.
Artlist.io.
So while one day I would love to be in a position where I could have this kind of a speech on the congressional floor, I'm not there yet. So, in the meantime, I call upon you. I call upon you, our legislators.
Music
You are
licensing
senators.
reimagined.
You are representatives, our Supreme Court justices, our president, our vice president, the cabinet, presidential candidates seeking the presidency, former presidents, to stop complaining, stop being selfish, and do what's right for our nation. All of this stalemating, political war waging, and infighting between our parties has to stop immediately if we want
Artlist.io.
America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, to survive in this post-COVID world. I hope you liked the session. More will be coming soon. Stay in touch. I hope you have a great day. Again, this is Heather Little, the Lipstick Libertarian, saying goodnight.